You're watching Morning at NTV.
Good morning, welcome to it. It's a Tuesday. It's a big day for our Muslim brothers and sisters. This evening, it's supposed to actually be a kickstart to Ramadan. How are you? I'm hoping you started your morning on a good note. If you're an early bird, if you're not, hey, not to worry, you'll still get your day in order. I'm Flavia Tumusime.
And I'm Malaki Vilodera. Welcome to the show.
Yes, and on the ground, we're joined by Andrew Chamaga. I don't know where he ended up today, if we can try and get a hold of him and see where he ended up this morning, where he's going to actually be reaching out to us. Which part of on the ground is he? I'm told it's something interesting today. I'm not sure if we can get a hold of him. If not... There you are. Oh, okay, interesting.
Yes. Good morning, ladies. I'm coming to you live from Nachivubo channel. This is a channel that is actually 9 miles from here. It starts from the foothills of course, Makerere. It comes through Makerere, Chivulu. It goes through Chivulu. It goes through Chiseka Market, Balikudembe, Namongona. Then it connects straight up to the Makshan Bay. That's where it pours its waters. This is one of the major channels we have in the city center, but again, it's a den of thieves.
Okay, so I was under the impression the channel is like a TV channel. Now, you've opened my eyes. so who's in charge of cleaning that area? It doesn't look very healthy. And what's happening?
Not really, but the problem is that it goes through really busy areas, and it's where I am. I'm around Chiseka Market. Now, Chiseka Market is like the place to go to for car spare parts if you need something of the sort. But again, this tunnel right here is where the thugs, if they steal your phone around Kampala or anything, this is where they hide. So you can't actually get them, no matter what the case it is. I mean, you can't jump from there. You come to run around here like you want to get your phone. Can you, Flavia and Mala?
No, I don't think I can.
So if my phone is stolen, is that the place I go to get it, to re-buy it? What happens?
The problem here is there are many young boys and girls actually who are trying to make a living on the streets. So this has become more like their home. So at night, if they steal your phone from Buganda Road, or we have Mpambana Road, we have Rashid Kamis Road on the other side, and we have, of course, the Nachivubo Road. If they get down here, you can't get them. Like, it's a wrap.
All right. Before we set into the day, we'd like to pick what's on your mind, Andrew Chamagero.
Well, what is on my mind today is something to do with sickle cells. Do you know that most of us, we get partners, but we don't take time to actually go for medical checkup with regards to sickle cells? Like, you have a very beautiful wife, you have a very beautiful baby, like they call them, and a very handsome husband to be, but they're sick. They're sicklers or they're carriers. So today, what is on my mind is how I wish we Ugandans who could take it upon ourselves to go for medical checkup about any other disease, not only HIV and AIDS, but even sickle cells. Because with it, man, you give birth to a kid, you have to spend the rest of your life working hard.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. In fact, this morning I was reading a story about a couple. Well, the woman actually lost her life because of, is it platelets? Something to do with blood clotting. She gave birth, and 3 months later she had a headache. And she says, I'll go for checkup the next day. I'll go for checkup the next day, until the headache became unbearable. And they found that her blood, she was bleeding internally, and her blood was not clotting after childbirth. And says it's a very rare case, although women are supposed to be monitored, especially right after birth, you know, before you give birth, after you've given birth, which they took for granted because they think a headache is just another thing. So I guess we should be very cautious of ourselves. What's on your mind this morning?
On my mind today is the High Court in Kenya has actually ruled that you're only entitled to what you contributed to the marriage once you decide to divorce. Initially, it was a 50-50 kind of sharing, whereby if we decide that, you know what, this is not working, we do a 50-50 cut on what we have, what is
regardless of who put in. Yeah,
regardless. But now they're saying, you know what, if you came with a house, you live with your house. If you came with cars, you live with your car. It's not a 50-50 anymore.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wonder where the children fall, because you walked into the marriage without the children sometimes. So
Yeah, now
where's
the
the sharing?
children.
I've actually, I know our neighbors in Rwanda have a sort of different, entitlement. Whether if you decide to leave the marriage, the woman has more leeway to get something. In fact, if she has children with you, that's even worse for you, because she's entitled to a salary or upkeep, as we call it, and you don't have a choice. So say you work at NTV, what they'll do is that by force, when your salary, when it comes to your account, it is half of it. The other half has gone to madam.
To
whether you hate her, whether you love her, whether you want to reconcile, the other half goes to madam. So I guess the laws favor the women, because they assume that the man can make a way, or they assume that whatever reason is, and if you've cheated, that's even worse. So I'm guessing if you want to get married, choose Uganda. What's on my mind this morning is Google. Employees of Google, a good number of them have actually resigned. And they're resigning because Google decided to partner with the military in the US on a certain project which some of the employees of Google find is unethical. And they said, we will not be working for a company that has decided to do this, that has decided to align with this. Whether it's for profit, whatever reason it is, we're not going to align with that. And I thought to myself, I don't know anyone in this country or on the continent of Africa who would give up their job to resign because their bosses decided to align with something unethical. That means everyone in Ministry of Lands would have quit, because these things happen all the time. So I'm guessing that it's true. Sometimes your ethics don't align with your bosses. Sometimes they make decisions or decide to partner with on a project you feel, really? That doesn't really align with my mission or my vision, but that's just how it is, and for them, and there's a good chunk of them who have actually decided to resign and said it just doesn't align. Then I remembered Google, by the way, was rated or ranked the best place to work. High pay, the environment. So these people are rich. That's why they're resigning. We're in worse positions, but we're going to take a breather. I'll be back with what's making news.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
Welcome back. You're watching Morning at NTV. That's our hashtag in case you want to take part in the conversations we'll be having this morning. First, of course, you can share with us what's on your mind this morning. What has angered you? What's making you happy? What are you excited about? And going right into the news, if you are driving past where the newspapers or you have them on your table, probably the biggest surprise in the Daily Monitor is actually the headline. I'm not quite sure if you can see it, but government slaps new tax on Bibles and Qurans. I thought I'd share with you. You have to buy yourself the Daily Monitor to get the full details, but what it is that there's an 18% VAT, which is supposed to be on Bibles, Qurans, and not just that, also prayer books, hymn books. And let me tell you, I understand that I think URA now is trying to tax everything and anything to widen our tax base and to get more money before the budget is read. But here it is. I've owned about 4 Bibles. I've only bought 1 in my entire lifetime. When I was in school, we were given Bibles for free. Those, small to Bibles. Then, for some reason, is it a Gideon? And then I got Bibles. I've never, until I was a grown-up, realized you can actually buy a Bible. I was under the impression Bibles
are given for free.
Yes, are supposed to be free. It's the word of God. Who sells God? Only us, man. But so I'm saying to myself, as much as the religious leaders are saying, don't put a tax on this, because I was saying that a prayer book is from 15,000 to 18,000 now. Then you're buying hymn books, you're buying Qurans, you're buying Bibles. Maybe that's where the problem is. Why are we buying Bibles? Why are we buying Qurans? Maybe that's why there's even a need to tax them. While you're at it, tax people. The other day, a church said, if you don't have cash to put into, when you're tithing, there's a machine here. You can use your Visa card. You can swipe. Or you can always mobile money us. Why are you going to great lengths to make money out of people who have come to pray? So Bibles, I think, should be free. To be honest, let me give the church money as I tithe to help you, but don't sell the Bibles. So maybe that's why they're, calling for a tax, because I was under the impression they're supposed to be free. Did you buy a Bible?
I actually nowadays don't carry a physical Bible. I
Oh.
have my Bible in my
the
phone.
phone.
Yeah.
Times have changed.
Yeah.
So don't even tax them. We're not buying them hard copies anymore. Just don't tax them. Leave them. Yes.
Okay. On this other story, part of Museveni's manifesto in the 2016 elections
Yes.
is that he was to ensure that girls actually stay in school by providing free and accessible, sanitary towels.
Yes.
But this has not yet taken course, and maybe we can listen into this story.
I think that we are going to do it right now. We have not given up hope on this program, but we haven't got the funding yet. When we get it, we will do it. We would like to see it done, but we can't do it without funding for it.
That we truly appreciate the fact that girls are not attending school just because they cannot access sanitary towels.
Yeah.
But their hands are tied. They cannot move to provide this because they have not found funding. Yeah,
for
so
it.
they're waiting for funding.
I remember this was very contentious some months ago when people actually tried to pull funds and resources together to try and... There are two ways. One, buy sanitary towels or pads and take them to schools or to these underprivileged schools. And then two was to try and teach girls in these schools and these areas how to actually make alternatives or environmental friendly pads. And
Yes.
I'm not quite sure how far. I think it's still working. I think people are just saying that the government should also take an initiative in doing this. I think we discussed this maybe a couple of days back when we were talking about access to condoms for boys.
Yes.
That shouldn't we also think about having the same accessibility for pads for girls, and shouldn't it be free? You don't realize that for a condom, it is a choice for you to have sex.
Yeah.
And not everybody is having sex. Not every young person is choosing to have sex. So if condoms are that available for something that is a choice that could or could not happen, and yet for menstruation,
You have no choice.
You have no choice.
Yeah.
It happens to a healthy adolescent girl and also woman growing up. It has to happen to you. Actually, if you're healthy, it must happen every single month,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Which means it's one way for us to know that, the sexual reproductive health is in check. So shouldn't you be putting more priority on that than putting priority on whether it's manufacturing condoms or giving access to condoms? I feel we're not showing the importance of what this is for girls than we are putting on, sexual and reproductive health,
And I think I think we cannot just keep on waiting for the government to move, because now they're saying they can only move if they get funding. So I feel like we as individuals, as citizens who are capable, who are, blessed with the finances, can actually start up a campaign and support these girls to stay in school.
For the benefit of that, people actually did. Of course, notable is Stella Nyanzi. I side with what she was trying to do. The rest, I don't have to give an opinion on, but I side with what she was trying to do. She did actually approach the radio station where I work, Capital, and people did actually provide pads to take to the schools. I don't know about the accountability, but I trust she got it to the schools. So each one of us, if we can do that. I thought that in the event that we can't provide every single girl, every single month, the pads she needs, I want to scream about this because it's important. You don't give a girl one pack of pads, because that's what I'm saying, people are not sensitized. People don't know how many you need, why you need them, and the health of it. But it will be another story for another day. So yesterday, the former ADF or the Allied Defense Forces rebel leader, Jamil Mukulu, was presented in court with other 37 co-accused, and it's terrorism, murder, aggravated robbery, and also crimes against humanity. Those are some of the charges. And one of the most notable things is that people were saying, why are we having people in court in shackles? Because they were shackled 2-2-2-2, and people were saying, I don't know if that's because it's not something we see in courts in Uganda. And Justice Uluswata actually noted that the last time we had people in court, they ran out of court, and they escaped, and we had trouble. So they're saying, to not have that problem again, there'll be shackles. And it says it's not something new. It's not something that they should be explaining about, so it will happen. So in case you watched that yesterday on the news here at NTV and you were wondering why the shackles, it's not something we see often. It's probably going to stay, and the reason is the last time they could not stop people from escaping out of court. Yes.
I hear you. Now, Yesterday we were talking about the real estate industry,
yes,
and the hurdles they're facing because of, you know, the rent fixation that wants to be put into place. So now the hotel industry has actually also come up. So players in the hotel industry through the Uganda Owners Association have come out to say, you know what, every single day we're being introduced to new taxes, and this is burdening us. This is, you know, taking our businesses down, because most of us actually took loans to build these hotels, to build these institutions, and we are repaying these loans with very high interest. How about you think about that? Let's listen into this story.
The hotel tax. Of course, under that, we are also paying licenses, the swimming pool license, the conference license, etc. Then we pay the Occupational Safety and Act. Then we do have some new taxes. So, for instance, a Copyright Act was passed. So we pay about 2 million shillings for the right to play music in the hotels, but now we are going to be paying a further 2 million shillings to play videos in the hotels, not to mention the other taxes that we pay, the normal ones, the payee, the income tax, the rental tax, the concession taxes for those in the national park.
The banks are so high. Some of our hoteliers are closing down, they are selling their buildings.
Every single day, new taxation. The Copyright Act right now, you know, demands that in any hotel, before you play music or you play a video, you need to be licensed to do that.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Oh, wow. Tough times ahead, I guess, but not to be alarmist anyway. So there's Uganda's ambassador to the United Arab Emirates, Miss Nimisha Madvani. That already might shock Ugandans, huh? She's a Ugandan of Indian descent. We are a welcoming country if you're born here and you have your right to citizenship. So she's been our ambassador to the United Arab Emirates. Now, let me tell you, obviously we've had the stories about girls going to Dubai, to Qatar, to wherever, and the stories are harrowing, where people are saying that we go to look for jobs, we go assigned to do certain jobs, and we end up in sexual slavery and all sorts of abuse. And it's not a secret. People have come out to say this. You know, people who are there have given their accounts of the stories. Everyone has said, you know, why go there? Maybe create jobs here so you're safer in your home country. So last month, the ambassador invited some members of parliament, and they had that discussion in the UAE. And there have been Arab protests that instead have said, why? You're an ambassador in our country. You should be defending us. You shouldn't be putting out messages like this that, you know, when it's not safe to be here or it's not safe to, you know, work here. So she's been recalled just like that. And I said, okay, so who's going to then fight for the rights? Who's going to speak out? If you're an ambassador in a country and you see something wrong, you have a right to actually address it. The country shouldn't feel so insecure about it as to recall you. So it was quite disappointing, but I guess that's the way of the world. And there was something that I actually needed to point out in the papers, as I do find that. I don't know if we still have Andrew Chamagoro. Would like to reach out to him and just catch on that. Yes, flying squad officers. We did tell you about how the new IGP, Martin Okoth-Ochola, had actually disbanded the flying squad. Now, there's around 300 flying squad unit operatives in the country. 300.
Wow.
Which means if you've disbanded the entire squad, that's 300 people who don't know what's next. So if you want to read about the fate of the flying squad officers, that's in the Daily Monitor today. We'll take a breather. We're back to tell you what's ahead on the show.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
Good morning. You're watching Morning at NTV. It's a Tuesday. It's, I'd say cold here, but it's always cold in here. So I'm not quite sure what the weather is like. Use the hashtag Morning at NTV to tell us where you are watching from, what's on your mind this morning, what news story has stood out. If you are concerned that we're starting Ramadan and they're going to tax Quran, so are we going to read it off our phones? Which is more convenient, I guess. I always see people in church actually, you know, using their phones, so why not? Before we go any further, by the way, I keep getting proud. I like supporting women. And Gambia has decided to, they've given their first female mayor-elect in one of their cities. Actually, that city houses the economic hub. So it's pretty important that they've actually trusted a woman to do this. But then when I read further in the story, I realized that her father was a mayor a few years back. So I said, Africa, we can't win. We can't win, as we try to still get Andrew Chamagero on with us. But what's ahead on the show for you?
Ahead on the show for me is infant and child health. How can we make strides to ensure that child mortality, infant mortality, is a thing of the past?
Yes.
It's sad to see, it's sad for a mother to carry a baby for 9 months, and then she then is deprived of the joy to, you know, nurse this baby, raise this baby, and see this baby grow into an adult. So we need to tackle that, and that's what we'll be handling in today's show.
Yeah, especially since yesterday we talked about maternal health.
Maternal health.
It makes sense that not just the mother, you now have a young one, a little baby who's sensitive, who is delicate, and needs to be taken care of. You know, I don't know if you're going to also encompass this, but they were talking about how I think UNICEF actually made a big campaign out of early childhood development, and they're saying it's everything from how you talk to your child to how you feed your child. And for a long time people were saying, why am I talking to my child who's not yet
understanding what I'm saying,
able to reply, even forget understanding,
yeah.
able to reply and say yes mommy or yes daddy. And I don't know, I probably understand it because maybe I'm well read, but I'm not sure that message goes down, because then what are you going to talk to the
it
child
actually
about?
Does go down.
It does.
Do you know they advise you when you're pregnant, start speaking to your baby. And by the way, when the baby, maybe in the second trimester, when you speak to the baby, do you know, and it's during that time that the baby can kick you?
Yes, yes, yes.
The baby actually does.
No way.
For sure.
So you used to have conversations with your kids?
Yeah, and when they like something that I've said, maybe it's a song that I'm singing, they would kick me.
So then how do you know they don't like what you said? It's the same thing, a kick. I was assuming a kick is to say, mommy, I don't like this information that's coming in.
No.
It's to show that they've heard?
Yeah, they've heard. So it's their way of communicating to you. You know what, mommy, I can understand. I hear you. Yeah.
Okay,
it's amazing.
Yeah, so someone said that you shouldn't. Again, guys, I'm making research because I'm a soon-to-be mother, so allow me take these notes from Mala. That you shouldn't talk to your children as boo boo gaga, boo 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 boo.
Yeah.
You actually should say out the words. Is that true?
It's true. Say out the words, because you see, when you're communicating to your child, whatever words you say to them, that's what they take. And then the system starts, comprehending that. And soon you'll hear them also speak the same words. So it helps the child actually speak faster. But if you just, goo gaga your kid, that kid will take forever to speak. So they need to learn from the environment. So they always advise you as parents, don't speak to this child in goo gaga, kind of language.
We do that a lot.
Yeah, we do that a lot because we think it's cute, and it's not. We're doing a total disservice to these children.
We don't have the information. I think even us aunties do that.
Yeah.
Oh, boo, 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 boo. Anyway, and I hope you have a doctor also. Please do share about someone who has a child who has not found a way to form their speech. And the parents don't realize that at this age, perhaps the child should have said at least dada or something. How to help, sometimes we miss the mark on how to help the children, whether it's with speech impairment or whatever it is. And as I did say that this evening will most likely be the start of Ramadan. And Mala and I are not Muslim. Neither is Andrew Chamagero. But I thought to myself, we're the people who work with, who deal with, who some are married to Muslims. And we sometimes, when you don't know, you're misunderstood. You sometimes don't know how to treat someone. And it's good to know, what does Ramadan actually mean? What's the season about? And I was reading and they were saying that 2 months before Ramadan is it you're supposed to, it's sort of like you're planting for, your Ramadan season. And I need to get clarity on all of that. How do we treat our Muslim brothers and sisters? You have colleagues at your workplace, you have your business, and you deal with Muslims, and you don't know how to treat them in that 1 month. You don't know what to not say. You're just told it's a very sensitive time. Don't do this, don't wear. So we need clarity on all of that. And I do have a Muslim leader who's going to be here giving us all those details. And for the Muslim brothers and sisters, what you need to know is you need to go for a health checkup and know how you are, not a matter of just fasting for the sake of it and being ill in it. So all those details just to prepare you for the Ramadan season, whether you're a Muslim or you work around or you deal with or you're married to a Muslim spouse, how to handle and manage Ramadan. We'll take a breather, and of course we'll be trying to find Andrew Chamagir to get what's on the ground.